Every single night your cat makes a choice, one that took millions of years of evolution to make possible, and most owners have no idea what it actually means. Animal behaviorists call it one of the most emotionally loaded behaviors a domestic cat can exhibit. Behind every nightly curl, every tiny paw resting against your ribs, every purring body pressed into yours, your cat is sending a message. A layered, ancient, deeply personal message. And once you understand the full language of it, bedtime will never feel quite ordinary again. There's one signal buried inside this behavior that most owners completely overlook, and ignoring it could mean missing something your cat has been trying to say for years. We'll get there. Keep watching. It has almost nothing to do with warmth. Let's dismantle the most common explanation first. Yes, cats love warmth. Anyone who has watched a cat flatten itself across a sun-warmed floor or drape across a laptop knows this. But warmth is everywhere in a typical home. Sunny ledges, appliance tops, fresh laundry, radiator corners. A cat who simply wants heat has no shortage of options. So why does your cat walk past all of those guaranteed heat sources and choose to sleep against a living, breathing, sometimes rolling human being? Because this isn't about body temperature. It's about something your cat values far more than comfort, and it costs them more than you might expect. Sleep is the single most exposed moment in an animal's daily existence. Every predatory instinct a cat has been shaped by over thousands of years screams the same instruction. Hide. Find somewhere concealed. Stay invisible when you are defenseless. And yet your cat walks straight past every quiet, sheltered corner of your home and climbs into bed beside a creature roughly 15 times their own size. That decision is not casual. That is a conscious override of survival programming. Research examining feline attachment behavior has found that cats develop bonds with primary human caregivers that closely parallel the attachment patterns observed between infants and caregivers. When your cat chooses your bed over every other surface in the house, what they are communicating, in the only language available to them, is, "You are my safe base. You are where I can finally stop being on guard." Your cat sleeping beside you isn't a habit. It's a trust that took years to build and is renewed every single night. The scent ritual happening while you sleep. Pay attention to what your cat does right before they settle in. That pressing of their face against your skin, that slow drag of their body across your side. It isn't random affection. It's deliberate chemistry. Cats carry scent glands along their cheeks, their forehead, and at the base of their tail. Every rub deposits an invisible chemical signature. Most people understand this much. What they miss is what happens during the hours that follow. When your cat spends the entire night with their body pressed against yours, they aren't simply marking you. They are merging your scent profiles into a single shared identity. In wild, feline social groups, individuals who belong to the same family colony develop a communal scent. It functions as a living credential, an olfactory signal that means, this one is known, this one is safe. This one is ours. When your cat sleeps against you night after night, they are performing a ritual that predates domestication by millennia. They are building a shared identity between you, inscribing you into their biological definition of family. This is also why your cat investigates you so intensely after you've spent time somewhere unfamiliar. From their perspective, you've returned carrying the wrong signals. Your shared scent has been partially overwritten. Part of that evening cuddle, part of that nightly press, is your cat patiently restoring what was lost. They are reclaiming you, and they do it every single time. They've assigned themselves as your guardian. Here's a reframe that changes everything. Your cat, no matter how pampered, no matter how many years removed from any outdoor environment, is still operating on the behavioral wiring of a predator, and predators think in terms of threats, even at rest. Start noticing exactly where your cat positions themselves when they sleep near you. At your feet, angled toward the bedroom door. They are monitoring entry points, near your head. They've placed themselves at your most vulnerable spot. Tucked against your back, they've sealed off your exposed flank. None of this positioning is accidental. Your cat has assigned themselves a protective role, and they fulfill it every single night without being asked. Across wild, feline social structures, members of a group take turns staying alert while others are at rest. Watchfulness is shared. Your domestic cat carries that same instinct directly into your bedroom. They understand they are small, It genuinely does not matter to them. Something embedded in their wiring says, "This human is mine to watch over." Would they successfully defend you against a real threat? That question misses the point entirely. In your cat's mind, they have made a commitment. A post has been taken, and they show up for it every single night with absolute consistency. Every sleep position carries a different message. Your cat doesn't just choose to sleep near you, they choose how. And each position is its own distinct communication. The tight curl, body compact, paws drawn in, tail wrapped close. This is the defensive posture. A cat who sleeps this way beside you has chosen proximity, but hasn't yet lowered every wall. It's real trust, layered with a thin film of caution. They're close. They're not entirely open. The belly-up sprawl is the single most significant thing a domestic cat can physically show you. The stomach is the most biologically vulnerable area on a cat's body. Every instinct they carry says, protect it, conceal it, never expose it in an unsafe environment. A cat who rolls onto their back beside you, legs extended, belly upward, has made a neurological decision that you represent zero threat. That's not something cats offer lightly. That's an extraordinary declaration of safety. When your cat turns their back to you during sleep, resist the urge to take it personally. In feline social communication, turning your back to another individual is an act of complete confidence in them. It means you no longer feel the need to watch them at all. It is, by cat standards, an enormous compliment. And then the full-body press, when your cat wedges themselves against you with zero gap between you, seeking total contact. That is the deepest form of closeness a domestic cat expresses. Not neediness, not clinginess. The most ancient form of belonging there is. They rewrote their own biology to match your life. Cats are crepuscular animals. Their bodies evolved across thousands of years to be sharpest and most active at dawn and dusk, the optimal hunting windows for their wild ancestors. By pure biological design, a cat's natural rhythm has almost nothing in common with a typical human's daily schedule. And yet something remarkable happens in households where humans and cats share a genuinely bonded relationship. Bonded cats gradually restructure their own internal rhythms to align with their owner's schedule. Not because training forced them to, but because their owner is their preference. Studies observing domestic cats in close human environments documented that cats in strongly bonded households shift their peak activity periods toward human waking hours. They grow calmer during the night, more present and engaged during the day. An internal clock shaped over thousands of years of evolution quietly gets overridden, by choice, not conditioning. This is also why your cat materializes near the bed right before your alarm sounds, or appears at your side the moment your breathing changes from sleep to wakefulness. They've learned your rhythms with the kind of attention a researcher brings to long-term fieldwork. Your schedule is where you are, and where you are is where they have chosen to be. A cat who rearranges their entire biological schedule for you has made a promise older than language. They feel what you haven't yet named. You arrive home after a difficult day. You haven't spoken a word about it. You haven't changed your behavior in any obvious way, and your cat is already different, closer, quieter, pressing against you with unusual steadiness. That's not a coincidence. That is sensitivity that researchers are only now beginning to fully document. Cats bonded to their primary caregivers can detect changes in cortisol levels, shifts in breathing depth and rhythm, alterations in posture and micro-movement. They don't understand the narrative of your stress. They don't need to. They detect the signal itself, and they respond to it. Every night your cat sleeps beside you. They're building a precise emotional baseline, learning what your normal feels like, so that any deviation registers immediately. This explains why cats so reliably move closer when their owners are going through illness, grief, prolonged anxiety, or periods of disruption. They are not performing emotional support for an audience. They are responding to measurable physiological data that you are broadcasting without realizing it. The nightly proximity gives them continuous information. You are, always and quietly, being monitored by someone whose entire concern is your well-being. When they suddenly stop, this is the one to take seriously. Now for the signal I referenced at the very beginning, the one most owners file under moody cat behavior and forget. If your cat has slept beside you consistently for months, for years, and that behavior suddenly stops, do not brush it off. A cat breaking a deeply established pattern is not being difficult. They are communicating something, and the message deserves your full attention. Sometimes the cause is physical. Cats experiencing pain or the early stages of illness instinctively retreat and seek solitude. Hiding vulnerability is hardwired into them as a survival response. If your older cat suddenly begins sleeping alone, a veterinary visit is a reasonable next step. Sometimes the cause is environmental. A new animal in the home, a new person, a shift in the layout or routine of their territory. What registers as a small change to you can feel enormous to a creature whose entire sense of safety is built on spatial familiarity. And sometimes the cause is emotional. Cats carry memory. If something frightened or stressed them in your sleeping space, a sudden noise, a tense event, an unpredictable moment, they may withdraw while they process it. They aren't punishing you. They are protecting themselves while they recalibrate. The ritual your cat built with you, the nightly choosing of you, the pressed warmth, the guard post taken beside your head, was never small to them. Every night they did it was a renewed decision. If that decision changes, listen carefully, pay attention, and when needed, gently rebuild the safety that made that choice possible in the first place. If this gave you a new lens on the animal sharing your bed, give Pawsychology a like and follow us. New videos drop weekly, and everyone is built to help you understand your pet more deeply. And leave us a comment with your answer to this.